Theme song. 3, 2, 1. Nope. Wrong one. Wrong one. Don't. Jesus. All right, here we are back in this show. What's it called? Late Night Lately, episode 18. We've got I think this might be the first episode of the year. That's correct. I meant to record this a week ago. And then I meant to record the second episode last week. Yeah. Anyway, who cares? Whatever. We're back. We're here. Let's do it. No monologue because I definitely want to talk. I want to spend some time talking about the premiere of After Midnight. Okay. Well, first things first. After Midnight did premiere. We'll get to that. Hold on. Let me go through these clips. let me do the stupid clip thing, and then we'll do the two stories. Guillermo returned to the Emmys. They did this thing where I gotta stop. I gotta mute this thing as soon as I start the episode. Where he does back to back with celebrities, where he sits back to back and he takes shots of tequila, gives out snacks. Every time I watch something like this, be it for the Emmys or the Television Academy Awards, or the the Film Academy Awards. Emmys are the Television Academy. I understand that. I'm not stupid. Yeah, just a little bit. They people either seem straight up game for it or not, and it's so interesting to watch people at award ceremonies, and by people I mean celebrities. Watch celebrities at award ceremonies, and take it so effortlessly serious, and just not even effortlessly. I mean like effortful serious. And to spend, I understand you get dressed up, you do this, you do that, there's no food, but I mean, you're having a nice time. And as much as I make fun of her, look at Jennifer Lawrence. She's just there to, whether she gets the award or not, you're just there. You're having a good time. Look at the people at the Golden Globes who are chilling out on libations all night. I mean, you're doing that to have fun. And so now I say that, and when the people that Guillermo talks to at these back-to-backs are the winners who go backstage. So if you're Iowa Debris, if you're the cast of The Bear, if you're Nicole Kidman, whomever is going back there and you're doing this press stuff, this is going to be the most fun press you do in the entire time you're schlepping your show or your movie. It's the most fun press. It's Guillermo. From Jimmy Kimmel Live, he's going to offer you tequila. And I never understand when someone's press people or someone themselves are just they go, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do this. No, my press people are saying, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. You're having a fun time. You're famous. You're rich. Just take it. Just take the shot of tequila. If I was offered tequila, I would go, heck yeah, let's do it, buddy. I just won this award. Isn't life crazy? That's exactly what I would do. It just flabbergasts me and the reason I mention this is that I'm looking at the video and not many people are enjoying it. I mean, Paul Walter Hauser is having a blast. He's just like, I'm eating snacks. I'm doing this. Jennifer Coolidge has somehow less personality than she did on stage when she won. Elton John's husband just seems okay that he's there. Let's do this. Let's have fun. Anyway, then Tina Fey appeared on Late Night with Seth Meyers to talk about touring and things with and Amy with Amy Poehler, as well as Mean Girls. I was going to say Midnight Girls, but yeah, she's effortless in what she does there. It's great. I love the way she is. Just love who she is as a person. And yeah, I think she's very funny. There was a story that came out this past week that, you know, Lauren, I think, said in passing, "Oh, Tina would be a great person to take over, you know, SNL, or like be a great person to produce SNL, whatever." Anyway, that's not him, you know, giving his endorsement. That was just him just delivering a line, and I just think, yeah, of course, she'd be great, and she would bring the show into new territory while keeping it pretty much all the same. Speaking of which, I just watched the most recent episode, which is Jacob Elordi, which is the mid-season premiere, and not to be rude, not to be mean, I don't know who in the world that is, and I looked on, I did this, I didn't know who this guy was. Like, when they announced it, I saw on the Instagram, and I went, "Who's Jacob Elordi? Who is this?" And then, you know, you say Saltburn, I'm not gonna watch it because there's no people of color in it. And you say this and that, and I don't know who that guy is. And that's not to be like, oh, I'm better than him. I'm better than you. I don't know. No, I just don't know who he is. And I went to Wikipedia when I was watching the cold open, as they did yet another James Austin Johnson Trump. And you see my face, you see how I enjoy that. And I went through multiple seasons of SNL. The most recent set, like 30 through 49, or 30 through 48. I didn't go through 49 because we're in the midst of that. And then I also went through, just for good measure, some of the 20s, because I can't remember the last time I watched an episode of SNL and had no idea who the guest was. And again, that's not to say I'm better. That's not to say I know more and I only know alternative comedians or anything like that. I don't know who that guy is. I had no clue. And then and I think I went to the season that was in 1995, the spring of 1995. That season, there was somebody that I didn't know, and then there's another person I didn't know. Not 2000. I think that was 97. So 95, 97, at least two people I didn't know. But I can't, like, truly, I just don't, I didn't know who that guy was. And let me tell you, let's say they did 12 sketches, 11 sketches were about him being a handsome person. And quite frankly, it's not that handsome. Anyway, the next one, this final video I have, besides what we'll talk about, is something I was watching just now. Kevin Hart was on The Tonight Show, and I think he's just a very funny guy. He's probably talking about Lift, a movie that you can put on, and it's not a slight. It's just a movie you can put on. Just put it on Netflix. He doesn't tell a joke the entire movie. The entire movie. It's Kevin Hart. It's an action movie, an action heist movie. Kevin Hart is I'm not in the, like, again, not a slight. He doesn't tell jokes. The rest of the cast get funny lines. He does not have one joke. Like, he is doing a serious acting role, and everybody else is like kind of silly. I don't know what happened, what was the translation there, but it was very. When I was watching it, I just couldn't believe that this was happening. Like, whoa, Kevin's really taking this seriously. Yeah, good for him. Don't make any sequels to it. I think it's F. Gary. What's his name? F. Gary Gray. Excuse me. I think he might have been the director. Let me triple check because I don't want to be some idiot saying things. Yeah, he was the director. And he definitely said, hey, there might be sequels. No, we're good. I think it's fine. But beautiful vistas. Oh, my God. And again, everybody else was a cartoon character. Anyway, okay, Kevin Hart. One thing I wanted to note is no one ever comes out and talk and like waves at the band. I like it when people wave at the band. And Kevin Hart addressed the roots, and I really love that. Mostly because they're from Philadelphia. But it'd be great if somebody came out on the Colbert's show and went, there's the band. Because again, this is a crazy stupid world we live in, and you're somebody getting paid $400 to come hawk your show, the least you could do is make the most of it. I get there. If I was a guest on a show, I would spend all day there. I'd be hanging out in the writer's room, see the band rehearse. I'd go to rehearsals. I earned that $400. I believe it's $400. All right, now that leads us to this. After Midnight premiered on CBS, and if you don't know, After Midnight is the replacement for the Late Late Show, which ended with James Corden's run, and it is a sequel, a reboot of sorts. I'd call it a reboot. I call it a reboot more than a sequel. And it is it's a reboot of At Midnight that was on Comedy Central, which was hosted by Chris Hardwick. This one's hosted by Taylor Tomlinson. And it is, if anything, as the week went on, when the show premiered, I'll just say this. As the week went on, it became more in line with At Midnight. I don't know if they're trying to make it its own thing. I don't know if there's a point in trying to differentiate it from what it was prior when it was on Comedy Central. But it is, from more or less, it is At Midnight for the TikTok generation, whereas At Midnight was the At Midnight for the Vine generation. It is obviously so very cheaply produced. It is. If you told me the budget of the show, I would go, it's too high. And don't worry, I said that, I told that joke to a friend on Saturday. I was talking to her on the phone, and then we were talking about. I mentioned After Midnight, and I watched the entire week, so I was able to say that joke, but it was offhand on that day, so it's still a brand new joke, baby. And you know, again, I came in, and that's not a slight to the show. So, but I came in and I wanted to dislike it. I came in trepidatious because the Late Late Show should still be around, and After Midnight should be on Comedy Central. But Paramount, Viacom has other ideas for Comedy Central, which is now a King of the Hill and South Park, an Office replay channel. I think they have Seinfeld. Do they? Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? And sometimes The Daily Show. But I would be interested, you know, since the pandemic began and South Park has left the airwaves and basically gone to streaming. I wonder, because now I say this because I wonder what's going to happen to Comedy Central. I say this because there's a plan that they definitely instituted at Viacom where they said all of the reality things are going. If you ever see me look away from the camera and I'm looking camera left, I'm looking at the monitor for myself because I'm looking at myself in the eyes because I'm so beautiful. And if you see me looking camera right, the video for After Midnight is still playing, and I just played the entire first episode. So I'm not paying attention to this. But Comedy Central is supposed to be the adult animation channel. So that's why all of the live action things were canceled or sold off. But this show being living on CBS is kind of is there are pros and cons that come with it. I mean, the pros are that it's on broadcast. It's going to have way more eyes. And that it is going to be able to feature alternative or lesser known comics on or comedy based people. I say that because Max Greenfield, who is a star of a CBS show, was on the Thursday episode. But it's going to be able to feature those people on broadcast, which, for better, I mean, like it or not, it is a great platform still. I still think. You know, look at the cast of SNL. Even though that show is streaming on Peacock and you can watch the sketches on YouTube, you can still see Devin Walker on SNL on NBC, Sarah Sherman on SNL on NBC. And that's great. I still think that is kind of a notch to hit, notch in the belt. Now, the first episode featured 3 comedians who in my eyes are big. You know, Whitney Cummings, obviously she's a huge touring comedian. Aparna Nancherla, who's a comedian, writer, and actor, and Kurt Braunohler, who's a comedian and actor, and then you have Taylor Tomlinson doing her thing as a host. I think she's hitting her marks, doing it well. She's throwing in comments when they need to happen, and that's it. She's more so than Chris Hardwick. I do believe that she is a little bit more. She has more input. She has more things to say. And by that I mean is that she makes more comments than he did. But the cons of this show are I'm not saying that's a pro or a con, just saying that's something that she does. But the cons of this show being for one, it's on CBS. I mean, it's like this show living on CBS is it means like they can't tell. And they try, but they can't tell as risque of jokes, and that's what we're kind of missing is a little bit of the bite that comes from At Midnight, and the length. I think the length is the biggest thing, and it has to be 42 minutes. It has to be 40 minutes because it's in an hour slot, and they've got to fill that time. Otherwise, we're going to get ads. That After Midnight is much too long. Much too long for what it is, for what it wants to be. People don't go to TikTok to watch 5-minute clips. I don't know if you can do 5 minutes on TikTok. You know how Paramount uploaded, speaking of Paramount uploaded all of Mean Girls to TikTok to promote the premiere of the new Mean Girls movie. And people, I guess, watched it that way. I don't know why you would. Why does this show have to be 22 or 40 minutes when it could be 22, and you could if you want it to be a show that lives on its own, then the back half or the middle or the front half could be something different. I don't know what. I don't know how. Maybe it could actually be a panel interview thing, but I mean, by the time I get halfway through the show, and I have to fast forward through more commercial breaks, I'm like, Jiminy Christmas, man, this is long. And it just kind of drags on, but they still edit it. So I don't know. they're editing out, if you look at the Max Greenfield episode, they're editing out bad answers and unfunny answers. But then, what else? I also noticed for the Max Greenfield episode, they had a comedian that was Robbie Hoffman. She was great. She was very funny. And what this show can do is bring, again, like I said, people who don't typically have this kind of exposure to the forefront. Robbie Hoffman is somebody who wrote for a Chris Gethard show. I had to look this up when I was watching the episode. And she's very funny, but I don't think she was the kind of humor that After Midnight and that crowd was looking for, because that crowd was not really having some of the broad swings she was taking. Same thing for James Davis. I mean, I don't think that crowd is more in line with, Whitney Cummings is here, Paul F. Tompkins is here. Let me see those people as opposed to Sophie Buttle or Aparna Nancherla. Or Carl Tart. It's great to see Carl Tart on there. I mean, it's amazing. I want them to be in a place where they can continue bringing these people on. But I need them to also either go all in on choosing, this sort of alternative style comedy people, or glossing it up a little bit. But I'd rather them, go in with this the alternative stuff, because I think alternative stuff is what I said. because I think that's where this show shines. I think that's where At Midnight shined. And also, don't be afraid to have return guests. How many times was Ron Funches on at Midnight? How many times were Rob Hubel and Paul Scheer and just a bunch of people? And also, don't be afraid to get people who aren't just stand-ups or comedy writers. Because I do think the Max Greenfield thing worked. It was nice to see him not in an acting role and not interviewing. I would love to see them bring in similarly sized stars, because that was always a surprise on At Midnight when somebody big would come by. And the points don't matter. The points don't matter, and here's the thing. Now we've got like two different modes of operation, because the points never mattered on regular At Midnight, but everybody was vying for them. Whereas on After Midnight, the points don't matter. I don't think Taylor understands that. And I don't think the guests understand that. I don't think anybody on After Midnight understands. Well, hold on. The points don't matter and the guests don't care. But the points don't matter on At Midnight, and the guests did care. And they were fighting. They were doing the best jokes they could. I'm all, and you know, there's things here and there that the show could do to improve, but I mean, that's what happens with every talk show. I'm not going to pick out the things that are happening on week one. I will say this: I don't use TikTok, and I'm not on the internet constantly. So when they say something was big that day or that week, you got to take the word for it and go, "Oh, I guess that's how it works." But that's After Midnight. There's room for improvement and refining the show. There's no room for making the show more than it is. When Late Night with Seth Meyers premiered, Seth was standing, doing the monologue. They did bits that they never do anymore. And I know that because I was just watching a bunch of clips while the hiatus was going on. This past one, the winter break one. And I was watching a bunch of clips, and I just thought to myself, like, man, this is so funny, but they will never, ever bring this back. And then the same thing for Jimmy Kimmel's show, for Fallon's show. And obviously those have been on for years, but there are things that they did in the first 3 years that they don't do 10, 15 years later. And with this show, I can see them getting rid of games that just didn't work, because there are some games this first week that just flat out stunk. But there's nothing more than that, because there's no way. I mean, the set is already so barren. What are you going to add to the set? It's just a giant phone and 4 podiums. And it looks fine. But again, it looks like I could sneeze and that entire thing would fall over. the entire set would fall over. But I can't see in 3 years, if the show exists, where it's going to be. Okay. There's that. And the final thing is, this comes from Variety, written by Brian Steinberg. Comedy Central won't choose Daily Show host after a year-long search. You heard that right. At the Emmys, Trevor Noah's Daily Show finally won its Emmy. And on the stage, you saw Roy Wood Jr., Ronnie Chang, Desi Lydic, Dulce Sloan, Michael Costa, Jordan Klepper, writers, producers. It was fantastic. But also on that stage, standing adjacent to Trevor Noah, it was Roy Wood Jr., who had quit the show just a couple of months ago, just past fall, and he was mouthing, "Please hire a host." Here we go. Here's your answer. You're not going to get a host for the year of 2024. At least not yet. Not for a little bit. Yeah, we're not gonna get a host. They're going to do what the original rumor was and rely on the correspondents. Now, there are multiple rumors that were going around talking about how Roy Wood Jr. and Desi Lydic would be the ones to get the spot. Then it was Hassan Minaj, and then Chelsea Handler was really into wanting the job, and who was it? Cal Penn really wanted the job. And then after Hassan was out, then what do we do? Are we going to do guest hosts until the summer or whatever? But from what I liked most, I thought the best idea would be for Desi Lydic and for Roy Wood Jr. to co-host the show. I think it'd be fantastic. I mean, look at PBS NewsHour with Amna and Jeff. They do some fantastic work. They're able to after midnight still playing. They're able to do stories, go out on assignments. Sometimes one of them is hosting for 3 days straight. Sometimes both of them are hosting. I love it. It's truly so great and wonderful reporting from the both of them. Now, for Desi and Roy, they played well together. I mean, they've both been there for years, and it just doesn't make sense for this show to want to rely on somebody who is not a part of the family. I mean, John chose Trevor. Trevor left. So why not try to choose somebody in that same ilk? Look at any man or woman who is capable of hosting the show. Look at Chelsea would have been a fantastic person. Desi would have, and Roy would have killed it. And it's a shame that we've gotten this far. And I feel like this is, if anything, I know Jen Flans, is that her name, is still at the Daily Show, and she's been there for since the beginning. But I feel as though this is like the Late Late Show, kind of the last laugh or the last grasp of reality for the Daily Show. I Paramount is ready to. Sherry Redstone is ready to sell Paramount to whomever the highest the bidder is going to be, whether it's Warner Brothers, whether it's Skydance, but it seems that she's ready to just drop this whole act of having linear and streaming and stuff and film studios, and it is a shame that the Daily Show is being dragged like this, and I can't imagine going into an election year, and a very important election year. Every election year important, baby. You got to get out there and vote. Taylor Swift told me to. But with no host. I mean, you cancel Larry Wilmore's nightly show in an election year, and now this is happening. I would focusing on correspondence is a good answer for last year, but now I think there needs to be somebody who can steer the ship. And whether that is truly going to be the correspondence for the remainder of the year going into next, or it's going to be some host that you hire hoping to get more ratings, then make a decision. This right now seems like a stopgap. This seems like we didn't intend for this to happen, because if they did, then they would have announced that months ago versus announcing it. Daily Show's back next week, and we're gonna do correspondence now. Anyway, that's my whole shtick, my whole thing. But we're gonna focus on their correspondents that include Leidick, Chang, Costa, Sloan, and the new people as well. And that's that. I don't know. I didn't even talk about anything in the article, but there's nothing to talk about. I mean, in 2022, the advertising dollars for the Daily Show brought in a total of $39.9 million. And now for 2023, it's getting under 19 million. But that's according to Vivek's tracker of ad spending. But that's because, we had strikes, and then the Daily Show had was off for a minute before that too. Anyway, okay. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to comedians and famous people and things of that nature. You can follow us. You can watch video versions of this show on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. And you can also see video versions of the other podcasts, which are LinkedIn Logs which is the business podcast, and Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business podcast. So there you go. If you want to watch video versions of those, you can watch video versions of the interviews I do called The Interviews on youtube.com/C+comedy. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yes, at C+comedy. And me at Chad Black White. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye.